Hey everyone, Rarity Dash here. Time for another Patreon-sponsored blind reaction. And this one comes to you courtesy of King Cocoon, who has requested that I react to the Only Perfect Overpowered Antagonist, Bill Cipher, by Nux Taku. So, yeah, we're talking Bill, and how he's perfect. Perfect at being overpowered, at least. I wouldn't really think he's the only perfect overpowered antagonist, but, I mean, can't really think of a better one, and I'm prepared to hear an argument, so yeah, could be good. I mean, I do really like Bill, so I think I'll mostly agree. Though, let us see. And here we go.
The first thing any YouTuber freaking
well, that's an
does
interesting
is
looking character.
a specific aspect of a specific series that's not the brand of his channel. He starts off on this whole tangent of,
interesting voice too.
Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls is a series about a young boy and young girl that travel to... No, we're not doing any of that, because any of the time in this video that I will not be talking about Bill Cipher is too much time. Especially
okay, well, I mean,
to be quite frank, you don't even
gotta have time to make your point, I guess.
Gravity Falls to understand and appreciate this video and why
really?
Bill's such an amazing antagonist. Yeah, all the millions and oodles of overcomplicated characters ever with the most insane motives ever, and I fell in love with the floating Illuminati triangle.
Well, Bill's pretty great. Bill's pretty great.
Chaotic neutral than chaotic evil. Maybe it's because
that's
I
fair.
personally consider myself chaotic neutral, and I think that category fits me better than
I mean,
other category.
With that OC design, I'm not surprised.
Relate to this floating triangle like a brother. Okay, not really. Bill falling into the category of overpowered characters that I like to analyze in my overpowered analysis series is far too straightforward. The guy's the most powerful being in the known universe, and his powers are more powerful than the very dimensional barriers binding this multiverse in place. Being that Gravity Falls is a series focused on mysteries and secret codes, where one answer just begins to ask more questions, Bill Cipher, the Cipher part of his last name, being the definition for a secret code, is all too fascinating from the get-go. We know that for a long period of time, Ford was trapped, wandering between other dimensions, unable to find his way back home, and the most dangerous thing he's met under all of his journeys was Bill Cipher, but not in those other dimensions, in his own reality. Bill Cipher cannot take a physical form in the reality we know and love. He's merely ethereal, and he can travel from people's minds, tricking them into making deals with him, allowing them in and access to their bodies. What makes Bill so fascinating is being that he's chaotic neutral, and he's doing his own thing more than anything else, you can't perceive his actions as bad. And therefore, if he offers you a deal, more often than not, it will sound too good to be true. Even though in actuality, every single deal he makes with anyone, they will end up regretting it in the long run, because what Bill wants far outweighs whatever they can be getting from him.
Yeah.
Overpowered is by no means hyperbole either, because as far as brute force goes, when he does actually gain access to the real world, after of course tricking every character ever at least 5 times, the conniving bastard, which I respect, he's nigh invincible.
Gotta respect
it. No one can output the amount of brute force that he can. No one is seemingly as smart and cunning as he is, and when I say it takes everything they got to eventually beat him, that's not an overstatement in the slightest. All the creepy and wacky inventions we've seen throughout the series, all the characters and monsters we've met and befriended throughout the series, everyone gets together. They create
great finale.
A deck out of their mystery shack.
I love that part.
Even after all that and all the
learn from the anime.
To protect them from Bill specifically, Bill is still overpowering them. At the very end of every single theme song in Gravity Falls, we see this weird symbol. It's Bill surrounded by a circle of markings, which Ford explains is some prophecy and the only way to defeat him. Each symbol represents a different character in the universe, and the viewers begin to piece this together as they watch through the series. An army of time warriors come from the future to defeat Bill, and they fail. He fits all the criteria for this series, analyzing overpowered characters done right. One of the major issues overpowered villains specifically face, as far as their writing, is the unsatisfying actions they take and the unsatisfying actions taken to defeat them. Either it doesn't make sense, it feels contrived just for the sake of the plot, or this villain happens to be a total moron, and Gravity Falls handles this adeptly because none of these are the case. I mean, we don't get the typical villain, well, you're not even worth me killing, and then the good guy gets up, finds a way to defeat the villain, and manages to do so. No, we don't get any of that. He doesn't kill Ford because Ford is the only one that knows the way to allow him to break out of Gravity Falls and take over the entire world, so he can presumably then have a massive party, which kind of seems to be his end goal in life.
Yeah.
Now, Ford is also clever enough to not allow Bill into his mind again, so Bill realizes the only way he can get the info out of him is to torture his great niece and nephew, meaning he can't kill them either. Everyone else he disposes of instantly, and in the most fun way possible. He wants to keep Mabel locked up, so he creates an alternate reality universe that she can live in, where her wildest desires become reality.
It's pretty impressive when you think about it.
Going exactly the way she wants it. Be it the people she likes, be it the laws of nature itself that follow her subconscious desires, there's no reason for her to ever leave. It's the ultimate prison, and also the ultimate task for the heroes of our story to eventually want to leave and break out of. Not only that, but convince Mabel that the real world, which is currently undergoing Armageddon, weird Armageddon, but Armageddon nonetheless, but still reality is better than this fake fiction, despite the fact that everything they could have ever wanted is reality in this world that they could present.
Well, I don't think anyone wants Dippy Fresh.
Now that is a trial for a main character to undergo.
Even Mabel deep down.
It's not that they managed to beat him through brute force, they're nowhere near that level. When I say that, despite the fact that he's all powerful, he's a psychological opponent, I mean that so literally it's terrifying. This guy's powers include going into someone else's mind as long as they agree to let him in. This has been their downfall under numerous occasions, whether Dipper really needed the secret code to a certain computer, so he's like, okay, I'll let you in for a little bit, before becoming aware that, you know, Bill Cipher's not exactly the feller you want to make deals with ever without, ever. And that becomes clear when he takes over the mind of someone in a different time, and then uses that space-time power to travel back to a point where a certain character was in a slump, so he can use that character's terrible mental disposition at that point, manipulating them without even entering their mind, so that they can allow Bill to enter reality. And he ends up being defeated by being completely outsmarted. He ends up entering one of the main characters' minds, and someone else then erases all their memories. It's an ultimate toll to defeat this ultimate villain, and seemingly the only way to do so. All this is overpowered done right, as far as villains go. He is ridiculously overpowered, and he's defeated in a way that has sacrifice, has challenge, has difficult trials, and also 100% makes sense. Now, all this is why Bill,
the actual sacrifice aspect,
character done right, but I'm going to push
really
the
played
envelope
through
and say that this is not why he's one of the greatest villains in fiction. What I'm about to tell you is, until this point, I've basically done a fictional analysis of sorts, one that could be done in a formula that can be used for various characters. But the reason why Bill is one of my favorite villains ever is the fact that he's a villain on a meta level. If you guys like this video, I may end up doing a psychological analysis on the mind of Bill Cipher, being that I find his psychology fascinating, as well as his life philosophy, believe it or not. But this is an OP analysis, analyzing overpowered characters and the overpoweredness they pose in the series. And in Bill's case, what makes him so wonderfully overpowered is the overpoweredness he's posing out of the series. Firstly, subconsciously, what do we think of this guy the first time we see him? I mean, his name, Bill Cipher, as I've mentioned, a cipher is a code. This is the guy that shows up at the end of the intro to every single episode with this creepy circle thing go around it. Not only that, but while that image is shown at the end of the intro, there's this weird whispering in the intro. Suspiciously, it's the same voice actor that voices Bill Cipher and some other characters, but that's not really the point here. That whisper, if you played in backwards, it says 3 letters back, or something along those lines. And that is the cipher to decipher the code at the end of every single episode. After the episode, there's a funny 30-second clip continuing a gag that was going on in each episode with these weird letters under it. Letters that seem to mean nothing. And the only way to crack those letters is by reversing that whisper in the intro, giving you the cipher, while showing a picture of Bill Cipher to the cipher at the end of the episode. And it changes every several episodes. Again, creepy meta stuff going on. But even more than that, when the screen pans down in the intro from Dipper in his room to Stan in the basement, it goes through the actual structure of the Mystery Shack, and in this weird graffiti-like writing on one of the pipes, the cipher, that graffiti using the cipher in the intro, it says, Bill is watching. This is the creepy meta stuff that isn't actually going on in the show, but is also going on in the show, and it's so awesome. Look at Bill's character design, now that we've kind of deciphered what his name is.
Wow,
okay,
wow.
I have to stop doing that. But obviously, the all-seeing eye on the back of the $1 American bill. Get it? Dollar bill? Bill?
Yes,
Cipher?
yes,
Pretty
yes.
crazy. And I'm pretty sure the word Bill and his name Bill is not a coincidence, being that he is the eyeball on the back. Suspiciously enough, what does this eye thingo mean? This floating eyeball in a triangle. Well, it's right next to the In God We Trust, and it's known to represent the all-seeing eye of God. God knows everything.
And yes, God.
Like
Yes,
Bill Cipher
Harui.
does throughout the entirety of Gravity Falls. Always
The only God that matters.
Carefully taking notes of what everything means and how to manipulate things to go his way. Not only that, but this all-seeing eye eventually became the logo of the Illuminati. This secret evil organization that's watching everything behind the scenes, manipulating things to go their way, and that's exactly what Bill Cipher does in the actual Gravity Falls series. This is what his character design represents. And whether it was conscious or subconscious, everyone knows the triangle eyeball thingy on the back of the bill. The reason why Bill isn't causing his shenanigans the entire time is because he's trapped in an alternate reality where he can only project himself into this one in the minds of other people until he eventually breaks out. Now, being that Bill Cipher presumably died at the end of the Gravity Falls series, at the end of season
Presumably.
all seems
I mean,
nice
we've seen
and
some
dandy, but,
some theories.
Like a bazillion theories on how he's actually not dead.
Yeah,
we don't
yeah.
really need to get into them. They're covered by literally everyone throughout YouTube, and I'm not a theory channel per se, but some theories aren't really theories, and they're the basic clues that the writers expect you to put together yourself. In the journal that contains so many of the secrets of Gravity Falls, when it talks about the memory eraser-fire thingo, it says that, well, it erases memory, but visual cues can bring back these destroyed memories.
Well, there we go.
So
That's
when Bill Cipher is in Stan's mind, when they erase it, Stan eventually gets his memories back. He starts seeing his niece and nephew, he sees pictures of his brother, and eventually it comes back to him. So Bill, who was in his mind at that time, should presumably be back as well. He remembers Bill, after all, and this is kind of left ambiguous. It's fairly obvious that one of the major ciphers that Bill seems to be using throughout is this let's play it in reverse bit. The first time he's summoned by Gideon, a former antagonist in the series, of course, to make a deal, Gideon's incantation, if you play it backwards, is play this backwards, play this backwards, play this backwards. Pretty hilarious stuff. Not to mention the fact that the whispering at the end of every intro played backwards gives you a cipher to the code at the end of the episode. While Stan's memories are getting erased and seemingly Bill is being destroyed as well, Bill seemingly spouts gibberish for about 30 seconds before eventually disappearing. And of course, the first thing I think everyone did is play that gibberish backwards.
I mean, yeah, that's what you gotta do.
AXOLOTL. My time has come to burn. Invoke the ancient power that I may return. Yeah, if that's not a subtle nod that Bill has a trick up his sleeve. Well, in a spin-off book where the main characters are going on an adventure, they find this magical axolotl. AXOLOTL. Now, I didn't find this. This is all put together by like a billion Reddit theorists, as well as MatPat, who made a video on it. But apparently Alex Hirsch, the creator of Bill Cipher, tweeted that despite the fact that the book is non-canon, it contains one massive secret. And when this axolotl thingo is asked by Dipper what he knows about Bill Cipher, he recites some really creepy poetry that in part refers to Bill's past that we are unaware of, and I will be using that for my video on the psychology of Bill Cipher. Definitely subscribe. But aside from that, it also talks about the fact that he can invoke my name so he may return in a different reality in a different time. Bill yelling AXOLOTL while dying, about to burn up, so that he may return in some other time in some other reality, as Bill seems to like doing. Now, also suspiciously enough, after Gravity Falls ended, Alex Hirsch, the creator, announced a Bill Cipher. Somewhere in Zawardo, there is a statue of Bill Cipher, and have fun, go find it. He gave a phone number that everyone can call, and it'll receive the calls in the voice actor for Stan, the character where Bill Cipher is seemingly still trapped in his mind. And in eventuality, when the statue was found, after all the clues, steps, and preparations, it says, hey, if you want to make a deal, feel free to shake the statue's hand, as the statue is basically Bill Cipher with his hand outstretched, ready to make a deal. Throughout the series, every time Bill wanted to enter someone's mind and they made a deal, they shook hands. And this is the same position the statue's hand is in, ready to shake anyone who finds its hands. Bill, in Stan's mind, is potentially giving the orders for this entire hunt. He's waiting for you to find the statue and shake his hand so he can presumably enter the mind of some unwary person in our freaking world. Theory as to how Bill Cipher still survived the whole thing. Matt Pett made a video on the Reddit thread. It was very cool. Definitely check it out. I'll link it in the description if I remember. But that's a little past the point. The point is, Bill is traveling from reality to reality, and the fact that our own reality is canon to Bill Cipher's universe is terrifying. Now, I'm not exactly saying, stock up on a lot of water. Weird Mageddon is coming to planet Earth.
Yeah.
It's canon to this character to be able to influence our world is so damn cool. It's a whole nother level of being an overpowered character in my mind. And I'm not talking about his wacky personality. I'm not talking about the fact that I'm both fascinated by him and feel bad for his character, because all the fun and games he's playing within Gravity Falls is clearly a facade for the torment going on in his own mind. But that's already on a psychological level. This isn't a character analysis in that regard at all. I'm purely talking about on the superficial, overpowered character that we know and love. A character so powerful he managed to outsmart the cast of the actual show. Completely fool them into allowing him access to their real world in a physical form, as opposed to this perceived two-dimensional, floaty-aroundy thingy, only able to live within the minds of others. He's a character so strong and so clever that no matter what they do, he's one step ahead of them. His weird Mageddon is seemingly unstoppable, and they only manage to defeat him by outsmarting him. They swap places of Stan and Ford, being that they're identical twins, allow them into Stan's mind instead of Ford, so that they can try to vaporize him out of there. And that's where the series kind of ended. We don't know what happened in the story, because that's not where Bill necessarily is anymore. The fact that he's latching on to our world with this physical statue in our world. Now, he's not just the 2D projection we're seeing on our computer screens while watching Gravity Falls, illegally streaming it because it's not on Netflix. Someone get this on Netflix.
Wow.
He's reality hopping, and this time he hopped to ours. So for all of those reasons, the fact that he's so crazily overpowered, the fact that he's not defeated by force, he's defeated by cunning, even though he presumably didn't make any mistakes, he was outsmarted. The fact that he's a villain that outsmarted all the characters to come into existence and was outsmarted to be brought back out of existence, only to be hopping to another reality. In this case, let's be a little meta, it's ours. Damn it, this is why Bill Cipher is an overpowered character. Done right. If you like this video, I would like to make a psychological analysis of him, because this is only superficially why he's one of my favorite villains ever. The psychology department is why he's so fan-loved, and why I freaking relate to this overpowered, borderline godly, floating two-dimensional triangle. So, with that said,
nothing wrong with that.
Feel free to subscribe if you're interested in this psychological analysis, as well as other overpowered analyses. Let me know overpowered fictional characters you'd like to see me analyze in the comments, and also check out my other psychological analyses, overpowered analyses, or satire videos. Also, let me know if you want more Gravity Falls content, because it's freaking awesome. As well as an overpowered analysis on Rick. I do appreciate all of your time. So
well, that's probably pretty good.
If you enjoyed, and link in the description to my Twitter. Feel free to follow me there. I also have merch. Feel free to pick some up, as well as a Patreon. Any support you could give me there would be greatly appreciated. All my patrons are invited to the Discord server where I hang out. And speaking of Patreon, I would especially like to thank James Patterson, King Beat My Meat, David Anole, Negus Nogus, Burning Bush, Arise Warren, Sage of Snake, Wilson Fletcher, Team Sparky65, The Unknown Otaku, Lazy Ronin, Girthy Worm Jim, Allison Stricker, The Wolf of Gar, JD Fincher, Cosine Pitch Shifters, Laser, The Ethan, King Tank Games, Kevin McCline, Frisky Dingo, White Noise, Nasty Frank's Barbecue, Talon, Michael Hensley,
some great names here.
Miriam Ramirez, Chezzy, Q, Praise Lord of the Gilgamesh, Billy Thompson, Serial Flex Offender, JJ Slaybrams, The Night Bright, Sergeant Malarkey, LJ, Elijah D. Borden, Kaiser Wanar, Crazy Beats, Divine Reigns, Tea Kui, Skylar Legg, Karma, and TM Philly. I wanted to thank the Lord Twigger Rank, Meezy Jeezy, Anthony Booth, Noctris 13, Matthew Yang, MD Adria Pika Everest, Buried Minotaur 6, Emperor Misha, and Kyle the Warrior. Thanks to the God Usopp rank, Dark Element, Eduardo Flores, Rogue Robots.
God, a lot of people sign up for this. Read the name level.
Thank you, Shane Harden, for having Hashirama Cells.
Must be affordable.
Mitochondria and Gremin for having a bigger dick than Gremin. Thank you to the man, the myth, the legend, Steve, and the man, the myth, the legend, Hexiled. I genuinely appreciate all your help. Thank you all so much for pledging. Thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't seen Gravity Falls yet, and you can't tell by this video, I highly recommend the series. It is a hell of a lot of fun. Being that I didn't really talk about what the show's about until this point, for like 20 seconds, let's spit something together. Boy and a girl, first summer camp, go to their grunkle Stan, who's basically a con artist with a mystery shack of all these fascinating mysteries that he makes up, so obviously they're very mysterious. It's a ton of fun. It's lighthearted comedy. The parody's great. The overarching storyline is really deep in places you wouldn't expect it to be. The characters are a ton of fun, and so is the town. I highly recommend it. And also, Bill Cipher is one of my favorite villains in all of fiction. And with that said, and the weird fact that I somehow relate to Bill Cipher so much, even though he's a triangle with a bow tie and a top hat, remember to stay weird, fam.
Well, there you go. That was pretty fun. Yeah, I enjoyed that. This end card. Nice. Well, there we go. Yeah, that was good. pretty nice argument for Bill and him being great. Though I didn't really need to be convinced of that. I've always enjoyed Bill. He is definitely a really well done, overpowered character. I mean, I've said before that I'm not necessarily always a fan of overpowered characters, but I think Bill is a really good example of one. And for a lot of the reasons that he mentioned, I mean, he is smart. He doesn't ever have a moment where it's because he does the wrong thing that he loses. He only loses because, he was outsmarted. He was he was tricked successfully. They tricked the trickster, and being able to do that, that's how you get the win. If it even is a win. I mean, he does, I guess, come back. It was very interesting. I like his delivery. He seems like a fun guy, Nux here, and it was really well presented, and I would I'd listen to his his psychology video for Bill or something else, because this was pretty good. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the reaction. Let me know if you did, and see you in the next one.